As currently constructed, the Cleveland Cavaliers don't have any real depth at center. It's Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. And yes, they've been able to get away with it at times by using the corpse of Tristan Thompson and Dean Wade in small doses, but let's face it, that is just not a reliable enough plan. It always leaves them just one injury away from being in dire straits in regards to size. Cleveland could absolutely benefit from having at least one more viable big man available. The team does have multiple flaws to address, but if there was one that absolutely must be addressed this offseason, it's the backup five, a position that's felt neglected for years now. One option that could make sense for both sides is Guerschon Yabusele, another option that frankly I openly campaigned for the previous offseason. But before we dig into why Yabusele remains a possibility, do your boy a favor and smash that like button, subscribe to keep the NBA content coming, and hit that notification bell so you stay locked in all offseason long. Yabusele could be a solid fit off the bench for a Cleveland team that must do everything in its power to acquire reliable talent at that position. And with that being the case, the Cavs may want to reach out. Here are a few reasons why. Number 1, front court versatility. At 6'8" and around 265 pounds, Guerschon Yabusele is about as burly as they come. He is by no means the best athlete out there, but his frame allows him the versatility to slide between the 4 and the 5. This was the case for him this year while suiting up for the Philadelphia 76ers, where he spent 74% of his minutes at center and 26% at power forward. He essentially functions as their starting center this year, with Joel Embiid missing most of the season, and while he probably shouldn't be anchoring a team's defense anytime soon or viewed as a true starter, Yabusele showed that he can indeed fill in admirably when needed. The positional flexibility he would allow the Cavs to operate with would be a boon for head coach Kenny Atkinson. The French pro would be a solid fit in lineups next to Jarrett Allen or Evan Mobley, and could no doubt be dependable enough to roll out in lineups without one of the two beside him, meaning you could finally afford to give the starting duo more rest when needed. No more lineups with Dean Wade serving as the de facto center or third big. It just doesn't work. Yabusele would allow him to focus on the 3 and the 4, and the same can actually be said of DeAndre Hunter, who wound up having to play 67% of his minutes at the power forward. And by no means am I saying that I don't wish for Hunter to play the 4 at all. I'm just saying that Yabusele would take some of the pressure off of him, Wade, Allen, and Mobley in regard to backup big minutes. In other words, Guerschon Yabusele would make everyone's job just that much easier. Defensively speaking, he won't likely ever wow you in terms of standard box score stats. It doesn't offer much in the realm of rim protection, but he is a solid post defender and can hold his own if switched onto out on the perimeter. He plays within the 85th percentile in post defense and the 64th percentile in perimeter isolation defense per B-ball index. Now the reality is that you more than likely don't want to rely on him to comfortably defend the perimeter, but he isn't chopped liver either. Where he was impactful was defending the roll man coming off of screens, where he placed in the 96th percentile.
The field and a little more than 18% from 3. They shot 50% from the field and 60% from 3 in the second quarter. So I asked Rico, what was the big change? What was the message?
Number 2, floor spacing and finishing. Stretch bigs are all the rage right now. We know that. Floor stretching centers are even more in style. That's what makes finding one on the open market extremely difficult, especially if you are essentially working with veteran minimum contracts. And I'll give it to you straight. The 2025 free agent class is a watered down one. It's just not deep, and given what Cleveland can reasonably offer, the options are quite limited. In fact, it's not a stretch to say that Yabusele might be one of the 5 best available options in this area specifically. After spending over 5 years overseas, the Dancing Bear came back a much better shot maker from 3-point distance. He drilled 38% of his triples this year on solid volume at 3.9 attempts per contest. Now here's the thing, Yabu spent the bulk of his minutes at center this year, so I'm going to consider him a center. And with that being the case, he was one of only 9 centers to shoot 38% or better from range on at least 3 attempts per game. 9. And for those who consider him a forward, fret not, I do have those numbers as well. He would be one of 27 forwards to do the same. Now league-wide, he plays within the 76th percentile in overall 3-point percentage and 137th out of 569 qualifying players as a result. It's important to note that the bulk of Yabusele's 3-point production came off of catch and shoot attempts. He does not create for himself. Hell, if you remove the 11 pull-up attempts he took, his 3-point percentage rises to 39.2%. He was one of only 70 players to drill at least 100 catch and shoot attempts and one of only 13 centers to do so. The third-year big, and yeah, I know that sounds crazy to say, is most comfortable from above the break, where he launched 200 of his 274 total attempts from range, completing 39.5%, a respectable percentage on respectable volume. And while he was assisted on all of his 3-point makes, he was nevertheless dangerous. He should now be be viewed as a reliable stretch big. One such that will likely make an impact in this regard for whatever team he suits up for during the 2025-26 season and beyond. And the great thing about his game is that it's incredibly streamlined. It's either outside the three-point line or at the rim, and while the former is always in demand, the latter is also quite useful as well. Yabusele is among the better finishers in basketball. He plays within the 76th percentile in rim field goal percentage as well as the 83rd in rim shot making efficiency. It's how those looks are actually generated that should intrigue the Cavs the most though. Cleveland is routinely among the top teams in the league in their usage of the pick and roll, and Yabu would fit right in. He scored 183 total points as a roll man this year, the 20th most in basketball. He also plays within the 92nd percentile in pick and roll, pop, slip frequency percentage, which indicates that he is extremely comfortable operating as the roll man. I say all of this to say that Yabusele is an effective pick and roll threat. There is no doubt in my mind that Cleveland could make use of his talent and would love to have another effective screener on the roster to help free up its wealth of shooters and drivers.
17 of their last 18 games.
Great one to make it look effortless.
Yabu all the way to the rack. Great dish by Kelly.
Number 3, rebounding. There are better rebounders on the market, I can admit that, but not many who actually crash the glass the way that Yabusele did this past season. His effort felt tangible. He was very active on the boards, especially the offensive glass where he ranked top 35 in offensive rebounds, hauling in 1.9 per game. Whether it be his positioning, his technique when boxing out, or sheer hustle to chase down the miss, Yabusele made his presence felt. As a result, he finished the 2024-25 campaign placing highly in a number of related areas, including the 96th percentile in offensive rebounding crashing skill, the 87th in offensive rebounding talent, the 80th in putbacks per 75 possessions, the 77th percentile in defensive rebounding crashing skill, and the 78th in defensive rebounding talent. So not only was he effective in generating extra possessions for his team, but he was quite effective ending the opposing team's possessions as well, playing a direct role in limiting their chances of scoring as a result. Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley aren't elite by any means on the offensive glass, but they are solid. Each were within the top 25 this season, but no other Cavalier was anywhere near the top 50, with Javante and Dean Wade being the next closest at 119th and 121st respectively. So suffice it to say that the team could certainly use some added muzzle in this area. Yabusele wouldn't solve all of their problems on the glass, but he would certainly help.
He'll allow this second and third unit a lot of playing time in the fourth.
Castle has 10 assists in this game as Yabusele cleans up his miss. The Spurs have 23 assists.
Overall, Guerschon Yabusele fits the description of the type of player that Cleveland should be interested in my opinion. In his time away from the league, he managed to cultivate his game in such a way that it now fits the modern NBA. And over the course of the 2024-25 season, seemed to morph into a dependable role player, one that I think could add toughness, floor spacing, and rebounding to a team that is searching for upgrades and balances in their lineup. The question is, will they be able to afford him? After turning in such a solid season, he could be looking to earn a modest pay increase, something in line with the MLE. The Cavs, on the other hand, may only have access to the veteran minimum. And you know what? It would be hard to blame him for trying to cash in on a more lucrative contract after showcasing a more refined game. What do you think? Should the Cavaliers be picking up the phone in an effort to sign him? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, go Cavs.